Hello, welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. Today, public service loan forgiveness again is the topic. We're talking about weighted average, the weighted average rule, and explaining what that all means. Before we do that, just a quick reminder, anytime you hear a topic on the podcast, you can always check it out, dive in deeper, get your questions answered at thecollegeinvestor.com. Search for The College Investor on any social media platform, pretty much, not everywhere, but pretty much anywhere you are, we're there. You can like us and follow us and ask us questions. We'd love to get to know you and answer anything we possibly can to point you in the right direction. All right, let's take a look at this. So public service loan forgiveness, or PSLF, has long been a lifeline for teachers, nurses, social workers, and other public sector employees carrying student loan debt. However, the rules around consolidation, which is the process of combining multiple federal loans into one direct consolidation loan, have, of course, shifted over time, often leaving borrowers just a bit confused, to say the least. Under earlier rules, consolidating wiped out your progress entirely, resetting your PSLF payment count to zero. Then came a one-time PSLF waiver, which let borrowers back in the highest count from any loan, a major win for those with older debts. That waiver ended in 2023. Now, as of September 1st, 2024, the DOE, the Department of Education, has adopted the weighted average rule as the default. This new rule assigns a weighted average of your PSLF payment count to your new consolidation loan. You can actually see the current PSLF weighted average rule on the DOE's website. We have a link to that. So here's how the PSLF weighted average rule actually works, though. The new rule calculates your payment count by blending your loans based on, number one, each loan's balance, and two, each loan's qualifying PSLF payments. The formula, if you want to dive in and do the math yourself, you can find it inside this article at thecollegeinvestor.com. The impact of this weighted formula is that larger loan balances carry more weight. If your biggest loan is far behind in payments, it can drag down the average. Conversely, if your largest loan is well ahead, it can pull that number up. Example, let's say Sam is a teacher and has $15,000 in undergrad loans with 100 payments, but recently went back to school to get his master's degree. Good on you, Sam! And his new Grad Plus loan has a balance of $60K with no qualifying payments. Oh, that hurts. If he consolidated his loans after grad school, the new consolidation loan would have just 20 qualifying payments. It's not 100. It's now just 20. When you type it into the formula, flip the balances and the outcome changes, right? If the larger loan had 100 payments, his average would jump up significantly, which would be fantastic. But let's face the reality. Undergrad debt isn't usually larger than later loans from grad school, and earlier debt is also more likely to have higher payment counts than debt you recently took out. History of PSLF payment counts and consolidation. Dealing with PSLF payment counts has always been confusing because the rules around consolidation have changed a whole lot in the last few years. Before 2021, consolidation reset your PSLF count to zero. Waiver period, 2021-2023, borrowers could consolidate and keep the highest payment count from any loan. Now, September 2024 and onward, the weighted average is the permanent default. These data points are important because the recent changes enabled more borrowers to get actual loan forgiveness. For example, the PSLF waiver enabled 758,000 and change borrowers to get $52.1 billion in student loans forgiven. This shift matters most for borrowers with a mix of old and new loans. Those who consolidated during the waiver window likely locked in the most favorable counts, but those who are consolidating today, you got to be a little more strategic because it could still reduce your overall payment count. It's kind of like starting over again, you know? So should you consolidate your loans if you're going for PSLF? Generally speaking, no. It just does not make sense to consolidate. Remember, each PSLF eligible loan will maintain its own payment count, if you don't consolidate. However, there are still a few rare scenarios where it might make sense. Consolidation makes sense if you have FFEL or Perkins loans, which don't qualify for PSLF without consolidation. However, very few of these FFEL or Perkins loans are left in existence. Furthermore, the current weighted average rule does not allow their time to count for PSLF historically. Only payments moving forward would count. Parent Plus loans, which require consolidation and specific repayment plans to qualify. However, the potential to access PSLF for Parent Plus loan borrowers ends June 30th, 2026. Also, newer loans with little PSLF history, right? So where the weighted average just won't erase much, if any, progress. It could hurt you if you have one or more loans with a high count for PSLF and others with very few payments. A large loan with minimal progress, which could pull down your average. Not good. Borrowers close to the 120 payment mark should be especially cautious. Even a small reduction in counts could add years to repayment. Just don't do it. Continue making those payments. So here's how to check your payment count. Go to studentaid.gov. And then, number 1, log in and select My Aid from your dashboard. 2, scroll to Loan Breakdown. 3, click on a loan to see the details. And 4, look for PSLF payment count. The green banner in the sidebar may also show details without having to dive in too deep. You can see an example of this inside this article. So if your numbers look outdated at all, particularly after recent loan consolidation, you can submit a new PSLF employer certification form to trigger a review. Here's what borrowers need to do next if you're in this boat. The PSLF weighted average rule doesn't erase progress. It does, though, change how it carries over to the new consolidation loan. The results depend entirely on your loan mix. Here are the key steps to consider. Bottom line, basically, run the numbers before consolidating, especially if you're close to forgiveness. Prioritize consolidation if you hold FFEL, Perkins, or Parent Plus loans, since they don't count otherwise. Check your payment counts regularly at studentaid.gov to ensure accuracy. And stay updated by subscribing to the College Investors Student Loan Watchdog newsletter. We'll take care of everything and make sure you're in the know. For many public service workers, consolidation just isn't necessary and actually could be harmful to you. But in some scenarios, it's actually required. A careful calculation now could save you years of repayment and heartache and headaches later. That is our show for today. I hope it was helpful. If you got confused at all during the show, you can always check this article out at thecollegeinvestor.com and check us out on social media. We're pretty much anywhere you are. Just search for the words The College Investor and you'll find us. We'd love to help you out. Thanks again for stopping by today, and we'll talk to you again real soon.